Hey there guys, Mike here again. Thanks for clicking this video. Welcome to my shop. In this video I'm going to make a custom lantern carrying box. One that will hold the lantern, the fuel, plus all the goodies that you'd want to take for a weekend camping trip. I previously made separate boxes for the lantern and a separate box for all the utility stuff. This box here is just like a lantern box, but it would hold my mantles, some tools, and of course the fuel itself. So I'm trying to pare down my camping gear a little bit. So what I want to do is make one box to make it easier to pack and easier to carry around. So the lantern I typically take camping with me all the time is this 1969 Coleman 200. It's a single mantle, it's pretty efficient, and it's a little bit of a beater, so I don't mind it bouncing around the back of my truck. So we'll make that one compartment, and then the second compartment will be this little plastic fuel bottle. And below that fuel bottle, we'll make another cubby where we'll hold the mantles, a spare generator, some cap seals, and some tools like a screwdriver, wrench, and a mini check valve removal tool. So I'll give you some tips on designing your own box if you want to do something like that. I always refer to inside dimensions, and then you can extrapolate with your thickness of wood after that. I know that this box here is wide enough for a 200, so the inside dimensions of that is 6 1/4. Length here, we're probably going to go by about 11 inches, and that should give us enough room to put everything in. So what we want to do now is determine the height. Not all 200s and 200As are the same height, so don't use the dimensions I do. You want to measure your own lantern itself. So how I do that is I just take a little level, get the bubble nice in the middle there, and then just take a measuring tape and measure down. So it looks like we've got about 12 inches from the bottom to the top of the nut here. And when we build this, we want to make sure that the lid actually closes in and holds this nut in here to stop it from rattling around. So the material I'm going to use here is 1/2 inch Baltic birch for the bottom, 3/4 inch Baltic birch for the top, and that will allow us to do a nice recess hole for the nut of the lantern to sit in. For the sides, we're going to use this Sureply. So this is 1/4 inch floor underlayment. It has this nice texture on one side, and the other side we'll just paint. And so that will look really nice to have a natural finish on the inside. For the hardware, I'm just going to use a piece of piano hinge, this little latch, a little handle, and of course, Tremclad gloss fire red to match the lantern. So before I start cutting the wood here, I'd like to mention, I'll put a link in the description below for a set of plans. So if you like what I build here, please download the plans yourself and give it a try. And if you do like it, please leave a comment below. I'd like to hear how you make out. So let's do some assembly here. I like to use Titebond original wood glue. This stuff's pretty good because it has a fast set and allows for short clamping time, so you can get going on your project without letting it cure. We're going to tack everything to place with just this rigid 23 gauge headless pin nailer. These things are pretty handy. They're really small, 23 gauge, and they don't leave any type of divot or mark because they're headless. It's just perfect for tacking everything to place, and you can clamp it and let the glue hold it all into place. So what I'd like to do first is the sides. We'll clamp the sides up. We'll do the top and bottom, and then once that's all clamped up, we will do the fronts and backs. So when that's all glued and tacked up, what we can do is finish clamping this all up, let it set for about an hour, and then we can come back, remove all the clamps, fill in all the little brad nail holes and all any voids, do a finish sanding, and then we can cut the top off. So here's a prime reason why you can't have too many clamps. Yeah, some of these are the inexpensive Harbor Freight ones, but they do the trick for this low complexity woodworking project. So everything's all nicely sanded, so the next part of the process is to make the lid. We're going to do the same type of lid here in this box. Hinge in the back, buckle in the front with the handle on top. So in my case here, I did a 3/4 inch top and a 1/2 inch bottom. Before I glued it up, I marked what was the bottom. So let's go to the table saw. We'll just raise the blade up just more than a 1/4 inch, and we'll go all the way around the box, and we'll create that lid. the lid all cut off, we can work on the internal compartment there. We're going to make the main lantern section perfectly square. We're going to cut the divider off right at the lid section here, and the remaining leftover will be for the fuel and a little butane lighter, which makes lighting the lantern a little bit easier. And what I'll also do is put a little groove in this little section right here so we can fit the funnel right there as well. Underneath the fuel, what I'm thinking about is making a false floor, so this kind of sits up here, and that's where the spare mantles will go. Part of the build is making little storage compartments, so I went ahead and made these two cleats, and this will slide right at the bottom, and that will support the shelf that's going to be in here. So we'll just do that, and that's a 3-inch piece cleat. And then I went ahead and made the false floor Forstner bit, and then finish it off with a table saw, and that will just go right in here like that. It has little finger holes, and then this bottle will fit like that. And when part of the lid, when I put it on, I could put a piece of foam in here that will push down on that and make it nice and tight. So let's go ahead and glue that in. To help the lantern sit perfectly in the bottom, I cut out another piece of 1/4-inch ply. It'll fit perfectly in the bottom there. We will center the lantern. We will draw the circle out, and with a scroll saw, we'll cut a nice perfect circle out. We're on the home stretch here. We've made this. We'll put this in the bottom. Not decided if I'm just going to let that float around or glue it down. We'll see. So we'll put the lantern in, and now we can check for clearances on this. We'll probably put it right here. So I didn't want to cut these grooves yet until I figure out where the lantern sits. So we'll put it right there. We'll make most of the funnel stick into the parts compartment, and then we'll use just a flush trim saw, and we'll just cut down and break it off, and that should slide perfectly in there. All right, so we got the lantern in place. Put the bail on that side. We'll slide this down. Fits nice there. And we'll put the lid on. And you can see that there's a little bit of a gap there, which is perfect, because what we'll do is we'll take a Forstner bit and we'll recess a little hole to keep that into place. So what we'll do is we'll take a felt pen and we'll mark this up, get some ink on it, and we'll bring the lid down. And we'll push down like that, and you can see the mark right there. Well, it's pretty much done, and it turned out exactly what I want it to be. It's all nice and compact. Everything's all in there, ready to go. So what's left to do is remove all the hardware and give it 2 coats of this Tremclad Fire Red.